Let's get right into it. The first page of each lesson contains the learning objective and the Activate Prior Knowledge sections. These two lesson design components are specifically designed to prepare students for the lesson. The learning objective has a measurable behavior or skill and the big idea or concept. Sometimes the learning objective has a word within it defined. The definition for the word is located in the vocabulary box on the lower right corner of the page. The Checking for Understanding, or CFU questions next to the learning objective are used to check if the students are able to read the new words and to ensure students understand the new vocabulary. The Activate Prior Knowledge section is designed to retrieve from long-term memory information that the students already know. It is designed using the rule of two. This means that there are two problems or questions. The first one is for the teacher to model for students. The second one is for the students to do with a partner. The last thing on this page is the Make Connection box next to the Activate Prior Knowledge. It is designed to make a connection between what the students already know and the new learning about to take place. This is an example of a math lesson showing that the general structure for this first page will be the same for every EDI lesson, for every subject. Next is the Concept Development page. This lesson component is designed to define and clarify the major concepts of the lesson. The page begins with definitions of the concept and its critical attributes. The examples in the middle of the page go hand in hand with a concept definition or critical attribute. Some lessons contain non-examples. These are designed to dispel common student misconceptions or overgeneralizations made about a concept. Checking for Understanding questions give the teacher a good assessment of whether students understand the concept. These should be interspersed throughout the delivery of this page. For example, the first question could be asked after the teacher has taught the definition and the first example. The second question should be asked after the teacher has taught the non-example. Although some questions start as multiple choice, students are always asked to explain how they know. This is a great way to get students to explain their own thought process. Just like the previous page, the Concept Development page may contain academic words with the definitions located in the vocabulary box on the lower right corner of the page. This is an example of a math lesson showing that the general structure for the Concept Development page will be the same for every lesson, for every subject. Some lessons have support components that summarize the current concept or remind students of a prior concept. For instance, the diagram in the upper right corner contains information that will help students remember concepts needed for this lesson. Teachers should point this out to the students. Eventually, the students will have committed this information to memory. This is the Concept Development page for another EDI lesson. Lessons are designed to easily show connections among ideas. However, this may become information overload for students. Our lesson solution is something we call looping. A looping symbol indicates that the lesson should or can be taught in installments. After completing the first Checking for Understanding box, the teacher clicks on the first loop symbol. This will transport you to a skill development page related to the first conceptual loop. After students complete this skill development, the teacher clicks on the looping symbol to go back to the Concept Development page and teach the next conceptual loop. Looping is a very important tool because after all loops are taught, teachers and students can review the concept as a whole without information overload. Here is what looping might look like on a math lesson. Teach the first conceptual loop, comparing numbers with less than symbols, then continue to skill development for this concept before looping back to teach the next conceptual loop, comparing numbers with greater than and equal to symbols. The next section of our lessons includes the skill development and guided practice components of the lesson. These components are on the same page because they are part of the same continuum. During skill development, the teacher models for the students how to do the skill. During guided practice, the students are slowly released to work independently. In case students need a reminder of the concept definitions are once again located at the top of the page. The next thing on each skill development page is a set of steps that lead students to the correct outcome. Teachers should model each step with the first problem or passage. Checking for understanding questions on this page only address the strategic steps. For example, how did I, the teacher, cite textual evidence that supports the inference? Students are required to respond with a summary of the teacher's modeling strategies and reasoning. After modeling the steps, the students work with a partner to do the next problem or passage. This is when the teacher will check for understanding on how the students applied the steps on their own. For example, how did you, the student, cite textual evidence that supports the inference? Some lessons contain application questions, which are designed to continue to challenge the students to think deeper about the concept. Application questions are often marked with a T for the teacher to model and an S for the students to do independently. Here's what skill development and guided practice might look like in a math lesson. Additional pages of skill development and guided practice, like this one, are designed to further extend the student's thinking. The steps on these pages are general problem-solving steps related to the subject. For example, this English language arts lesson requires students to practice close reading. In this math lesson, the steps are general problem-solving steps for solving any math problems. The additional skill development and guided practice page allows the lesson to include some important real-life applications. The questions closely mimic the structure or design of state and federal tests. The next page in the lesson contains the relevance component. Here, students learn why this learning objective is important for their education. There are 3 different types of reasons that may be provided on this page. A personal reason, a real-life reason, which shows relevance at a larger or global scale, and an academic reason, which connects to upcoming educational goals. Have students engage with the relevance reasons by using the checking for understanding questions. These are open-ended and divergent questions. They're designed to get students thinking and discussing why the lesson is important to them. After relevance is the closure component. This is the last page of what is considered the initial lesson. Here, teachers evaluate whether students are capable of working independently or whether they need further one-on-one assistance. The closure has 3 student engagement sections: a section where students demonstrate knowledge of the steps and skills, a section where they demonstrate knowledge of the concept, and a section where they summarize their learning with the assistance of a word bank. Here's what closure might look like for an English language arts lesson. Once students have been successful with the initial lesson, the remaining pages in the EDI lesson are meant for further independent practice and repetition of the skill.